There you go. Hi guys, and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron, and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the live game review to Everton's 1-0 victory over Wolverhampton Wanderers at Goodison Park last night. Finally a win at Goodison Park, finally a home win, and how good, how refreshing was it to see 6,500 Evertonians back at Goodison Park screaming their hearts out. How nice was it to see the players coming out to a standing ovation and to a Goodison roar. It's the title of this live stream, and for me it was the biggest thing about yesterday. I know we got the result, and we turned up in the second half and it was a much better performance than it was in the first half, and I know that now we're all sort of dragged back in. I said to myself before the game, this game doesn't matter, Europe's out the window. We lost to Sheffield United, and look at what a bit of crowd noise and a fantastic goal by Richarlison does to you, and I'm dragged right back in. Look, again, Europe's as much of a muchness at the moment, isn't it, really? We're reliant on Tottenham Hotspur losing on the last day of the season, which I don't think is impossible, but we're also relying on Everton beating Manchester City on the last day of the season away from home, which is obviously going to be extremely difficult. But how good was it to just hear that Goodison roar back when Richarlison's goal hit the back of the net, when the players entered the pitch for the first time, when Ben Godfrey made that sliding challenge, when Michael Keane made that sliding challenge on Adama Traore. And I think yesterday what we saw, certainly in the second half, I think the first half was quite poor, to be honest with you. I think the first half was a little bit sort of, lackadaisical, players seemingly going through the motions a little bit, not really playing to the crowd, no real cohesion, no real, no real. It just didn't look like there was a plan. It didn't look like there was any ideas. The midfield was sort of everywhere. The defence were solid throughout the entirety of the game. The defence were absolutely excellent, but the forward line and the midfield couldn't quite combine in that first half. We were giving Wolves a lot of the ball, and we were allowing Wolves a lot of opportunities to come at us. Now, they didn't do anything with that. They had a couple of half chances. Jordan Pickford makes a fantastic save from a Traore shot. I think Gibbs White had the shot as well from outside the box, and Pickford knocks it out for a corner. But we were given, we were allowing that pressure to be put on us by Wolves. And I was sort of sitting there at half time and I was thinking, these aren't playing to the crowd here. We aren't taking advantage of the 6,500 Evertonians, at Goodison Park. We aren't feeding off of that energy. And I think that was something that will have been mentioned at half time by Carlo Ancelotti and probably Duncan Ferguson, to be honest. They'd have said, look, this is the first time you've had, fans in the stadium for 6 months. What, since December? 5-6 months. We're always coming out after every game and saying how important it is that we have fans back and how we're looking forward to having fans back. Well, now they're here. Go out and prove it. Go out and show something. Go out and put in a decent second half performance. Feed off of that energy, and I think we did. Like I said, listen, it's clear, and it has been clear this season. You can't get away from our home record. Seamus Coleman said that last night. Our home record is absolutely abysmal, and it's clear that we've got a massive lack of quality in this team that needs to be filled. But we also know that when these players give it 110%, and when they show that they care, and when they show a little bit more than what they usually do, and they give that extra 5%, they run that extra 5 yards, they throw that extra challenge in that they wouldn't usually throw in, they make that ball busting run that they mightn't usually make, then that's all we want to see as Evertonians. We've never ever been a fan base that demands the absolute world out of our players and our managers and our club. We've never been a fan base that if you're not winning league title and Champions League, then we don't want you anywhere near our club and we hate you and we're going to boo you and this, that, the other. It's not like that with Everton. You can be absolutely dreadful at footy and Evertonians will still stand behind you and back you if you give it 110% on that pitch, and if you fight for that badge and fight for that shirt and fight for us as a football club and us as Evertonians. That's all we want to see. We can accept that some players are a bit limited quality-wise. We can accept that this squad isn't filled with as much quality as maybe some of the other teams in the Premier League that are fighting for the European positions. We understand that. But what we can't accept is players not going out and giving their, trying their hardest, giving it 110%, fighting, throwing that extra challenge and going that extra 10 yards. And, that's what I'd say everybody did in that second half last night. First half was a bit of a struggle. The back line, like I said, was exceptional, but certainly in that second half, I think everybody threw the challenges in. Look at Richarlison. For example, and I said it in the instant match reaction yesterday, there's been a lot of talk about Richarlison recently, and we will get into all of this obviously as the review goes on, but there's been a lot of talk about Richarlison over the last 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. He doesn't want to play for Everton, his attitude stinks, his head's down, look at him when he goes off, he's angry, he's frustrated, this, that and the other. I've always sort of stuck by Richarlison and said I don't particularly mind that he doesn't look happy when he goes off the pitch, because that tells me that he wants to stay on. You know, I'd rather a player look frustrated when he's being taken off than be smiling and be dead happy as if to say, yes, get it, I can't wait to come off here, because that tells you that he didn't want to be on the pitch in the first place. At least if Richarlison's, you know, seemingly a little bit annoyed or a little bit frustrated that he's coming off, then that means that, you know, he wanted to stay on, he wanted to impact the game. And look, again, I completely understand the criticism. There's been times this season where he hasn't turned up, where he hasn't battled, where he hasn't looked interested, where the quality hasn't been there, but I think he always gives it 110%. Richarlison, I think sometimes he just gets frustrated with probably what he's playing with. I mean, we all sit here as Evertonians and say, this team's not good enough, this squad's not good enough, it frustrates us. He's probably thinking that as a player himself, but I really can't subscribe to any of this. He doesn't want to play for Everton, he doesn't like Everton, he's not an Evertonian, he hates us, he wants to leave. Look at his goal celebration last night, look at how much that meant to him. Richarlison is 150% a footballer that plays off the crowd, by the way. He's a confidence player, which is one thing, and he hasn't had confidence recently, but he's also a player that feeds off of that energy. You seen that last night, he was excellent last night. Not only his goal, but he was everywhere. He was throwing sliding challenges in, he was battling, he was working hard, he was getting in the face of the Wolves players. He paid a fantastic ball in to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, which Dom, you know, manages to get the shot off, but John Ruddy makes a relatively easy save in the end, but he still played that ball in. I thought he was excellent last night, and he feeds off of that crowd, he feeds off of that energy, he feeds off of that momentum, Richarlison, and he did it again last night. But just look at how much it meant to him. Look, even little things. He was on Twitter today. Tim Cahill put out a tweet congratulating him for scoring a header at Goodison Park, and I think Tim Cahill put 2 pictures up of Richarlison and him, and, you know, similar headers, and Richarlison replied back, "Thanks Tim, just like you did." Now, I know you might say, oh, that's just social media, that's just players trying to, you know, make everything seem brilliant on social media. I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. Put it this way, if Richarlison didn't care about Everton Football Club, if Richarlison knew he was off in the summer, if Richarlison's attitude was poor towards Everton, he wouldn't be tweeting back to Everton legends on Twitter saying, thanks just like you did. You know, he wouldn't be saying a couple of months ago, I can't remember who it was that tweeted them. It was an Everton legend. Somebody will remind me in the comments, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I apologise. But he tweeted back, "I'm honoured to be in the same bracket as you," or something along those lines. "I'm honoured to have played for this football club like you did," something like that. Players don't say these things if they don't care. Look, nobody else is saying it at the football club. It's not like everybody's coming out and saying it and then he's doing it as well. Nobody else is coming out and saying and replying in that way or saying those things about the football club. Look at his celebration last night. I love Richarlison. I do. I really do love Richarlison. I think he's brilliant, and I think, does he need to maybe change his attitude a little bit? Yes. Does he need to improve? Yes. It was Kevin Campbell. Yes, it was Kevin Campbell. You're right, Sol. It was the Derby goal. He reminded me now. How can I forget Kev? Kev's a brilliant guy. We're going to have Kev back on the channel over the next couple of weeks. Talk more about Everton Football Club. I love Kev. He's absolutely spot on. He's a fantastic fella. But yeah, Kevin Campbell tweeted Richarlison basically saying, you know, you're part of that. You know, you're part of that club now of scoring goals at Anfield and winning games for Everton. And Richarlison tweeted back that he's honoured to be in that. He wouldn't be tweeting stuff like that if he didn't care, if he didn't want to be here, if he wanted to leave in the summer. He wouldn't be doing that. Like I said, does he need to improve his performances on the pitch? Absolutely. He needs to have a much better season this season. He hasn't been good enough. Does he need to improve his attitude a little bit? Absolutely. Because I think in some games you just need to put away that sort of, you know, everybody's playing shit so I can't be arsed attitude, and you just need to get your head down and work. And yes, he is guilty of that sometimes, I think, but one thing I refuse to believe and I refuse to subscribe to is this theory that he doesn't want to play for Everton and he doesn't care and he's this, that and the other. You've seen in his goal celebration how much he cared about this football club, how much that goal meant to him, and he needed that. He really did need that, and I was made up for him. I'd have taken a 1-0 last night with anybody scoring. I don't care. I'd have taken someone from the crowd running onto the pitch and, you know, it deflecting off their arse and going in. I really wouldn't have minded. But if you were to ask me at the start of the game and showed me the team sheet, right, you win 1-0, who do you want to score the winning goal? I'd have said as I said, Richarlison, to be honest, I really, really will, because I think he's needed it. I think he's needed it all season. He's needed the fans back, and he's got his goal, and it was an excellent finish as well. We will go on to talking about it in a little bit more detail as the live stream goes on. But let's get into the game anyway. Let's get into the start of the game. Obviously, like I said, Everton line up. Carlo Ancelotti lines up. No James Rodriguez within the team. No James Rodriguez within the in the squad. And I don't want to spend too long discussing James, because I think we just have the same conversations about him pretty much every single time we open our mouths, to be honest with you. I am massively gutted for those 6,500 Evertonians that went down to Goodison last night that would have been hoping and expecting to see James Rodriguez in an Everton shirt. It's not often you see a player of his ilk and of his stature and of his popularity, really, let's be honest, in an Everton shirt at Goodison Park. So I understood the frustration from fans. Carlo did come out before the game, and I think the Echo reported before the game that James felt fatigued after the Sheffield United game and didn't want to be risked, and that's why he wasn't in the squad last night. Now, obviously, that doesn't that doesn't go well with that doesn't set well with Evertonians. It really, really doesn't. We have this conversation all of the time. It's about players turning up and giving 100%, 110%. I'm sure Yerry Mina didn't play at 100% yesterday. I'm sure he probably felt a little bit fatigued after only coming back from injury. I'm sure Alan felt fatigued last night, having played 3 games in a week after just coming back from a massive hamstring injury. I'm sure Abdoulaye Doucouré, who's only just come back from injury and played 3 games on the bounce, I'm sure he felt slightly fatigued as well. I'm sure Dominic Calvert-Lewin feels fatigued. That lad scored 21 goals this season, has led the line, and has single-handedly put Everton in a European race come the last day of the season. So I'm sure he feels fatigued. So I get that, and I understand that excuse doesn't sit well with Evertonians. And I've seen a couple of people on Twitter saying, unless it's an emergency or a massive injury or something that he couldn't have been at the stadium, would it have killed him to have just been on the subs bench? Would it have killed him to have turned up at Goodison to watch with the fans? Would it have killed him to have said to Carlo behind closed doors, yeah, I don't want to come on because I feel a little bit sore, but I want to be a part of it. I want to experience it. I want to be on the substitutes bench. I want to be at the ground. And look, I don't know whether he was at the ground last night or not. Somebody might say, Cam, I was there, and you could see him sitting in the in one of the boxes below. I really, really don't know, but I think the reality with James Rodriguez is, whilst that doesn't sit well with Evertonians, and whilst players saying I can't play because I'm fatigued or I'm a little bit tired, isn't a good enough excuse for us. We've known what we were getting with James Rodriguez. We known it in the summer. We knew it in the summer. Sorry, if James was a player that was going to be fit for 35, 36 games in a season, if James was going to be a player that was going to be fit for 30 games in a season, he wouldn't be playing for Everton. And that's just that's the sole truth of the situation. If James Rodriguez was the James Rodriguez that maybe we all thought he was, as in the player that was going to come in and remain fit constantly for the entire season, he wouldn't be at Everton. And that's the solid truth. He would not be an Everton player, because the reason that he's an Everton player is because we signed him knowing that he's going to have injury issues, and knowing that he's had injury issues in the past. This is a lad, by the way, who before he played for Everton hadn't had any consistent football in about 18 months at Real Madrid, because he was in and out of their squad through injury. He was in and out of their squad because I think they got a little bit sick of his injuries, to be honest with you, and needed to bring somebody else in, so they weren't relying on him. Now, like I said, I wasn't surprised to see James out yesterday. In fact, I don't want to sit here and say, I knew beforehand. I actually was sitting in the pub before it, having a glass of Coke. I don't drink on a match day. But I was sitting in the pub with my dad and my friend. I think it was about an hour before the team news was released, and for some reason we weren't even talking about the team news. I think we were talking about, I don't know, Harry Kane or something like that. But for some reason, a thought just popped in my head as to that James isn't going to play tonight. James isn't going to be in the squad tonight. And that wasn't through anything other than, well, it was through the fact that every time fans have been at Goodison this season, the 3 times previous that fans had been at Goodison, we won't talk about the United game. So the 2 times that fans had been at Goodison, he hadn't been involved, he hadn't been there, and those fans who went to those games were massively looking forward to seeing James, and he wasn't fit and he wasn't available. So there was a sort of a subconscious, I think, feeling in my mind that became a conscious feeling that was, is he gonna, is he gonna play? Will he be there tonight? Will he start? Will he be involved? And I know it's very easy to jump to the old, he picks and chooses his games, he doesn't want to be here, his attitude's awful, he's not bothered, he can't this, he can't be that. And look, listen, they're all warranted reasons, and I understand the way in which people think like that. For me, I just think James Rodriguez is a player that we knew we were getting with a terrible injury record. We knew he was going to spend a good chunk of this season out injured, and we knew ultimately that if he's not 100% fit, he's probably not going to be risked. Listen, James has got bad injury issues, we know that already. So are we really I honestly, I really don't think we should be surprised when he's not in the team and he's not in the squad. And I know it was frustrating last night, and I know the reason was frustrating because being tired and being fatigued is nonsense. Let's be honest, we've got 2 games to go before the end of the season. First game back in front of fans in 6 months, and James is fatigued, so therefore didn't want to play. But as it turns out, the game against Manchester City on Sunday is absolutely vital now. If we win that and hope that Leicester can take points off Tottenham Hotspur, then then we're in the Europa Conference League. And I know some fans don't want the Europa Conference League, but that would be a European finish. Now, to say that Everton could still finish in a European place after losing to Sheffield United, last weekend is bonkers. So maybe Carlo Ancelotti's looked at it and gone, well, whilst it would be brilliant for James to be here and for James to play and for the fans to get to experience James, if we win tonight, which is a good possibility because of the fans being back in the stadium and Wolves not being on the greatest of form, and then we've got a fully fit James for Sunday against Manchester City in what could be, let's be honest, a massive game for us. A Manchester City side who will have not even one eye on the Champions League final, both eyes on the Champions League final. Then maybe James is going to be more more of a necessity in that game, and therefore that's why he didn't want to play last night, or that's why Carlo Ancelotti didn't want to risk him, because he wanted him to be fully fit and ready for Sunday, and he knew that if he was to play last night he wouldn't be fully fit and ready for Sunday. I don't know, I'm just throwing, it's as easy to say that as it is to say he doesn't care and he doesn't want to be here and he picks and chooses his games. It's easy and understandable to say those reasons, but it's also easy and understandable to say, well, maybe Carlo's just looked at him and gone, right, okay, you played the other night, you weren't great, you had to come off with 10 minutes to go. If you play tonight, i.e. last night against Wolves, then you're not going to be fit enough to play on Sunday against Manchester City. And that game against Manchester City, if we win, and let's be honest, Tottenham bottled it at Villa yesterday. Tottenham fans were booing. There's all sorts going on at that football club that seated the fans disgustingly. Who knows what their results will be against Leicester on the last day of the season. Maybe, the likelihood is they won't win. They might lose, but there's a high chance they won't win. All we have to do out and go and get 3 points against Manchester City, and we'll be in Europe then, which is baffling to say. And I know I sat here last week and said the European team's over, we're never getting it, and I still don't think we will get it, if I'm being completely honest. Without being negative and being completely honest, I still don't think we will get it. But yeah, there you go. C-Play says, is anyone's freezing? It shouldn't be freezing, mate. It should be all good. I think it's fine on my end. If anybody's stream is lagging or freezing, then please do let me know. It should be okay though. Everything seems to be okay on my end. But yeah, look, it was frustrating. It was disappointing, and I understand that. But we knew what we were getting when we signed James Rodriguez. We knew we were going to get constant injury issues. We knew he was going to be out. If you was to play 3 games in a week, he'd miss 2 of them, and that's just what he is. That's just the way he is. That's the player that we signed. Like I said, if James Rodriguez was the player he was 7 years ago, he wouldn't be at Everton. If James Rodriguez didn't have his injury issues, the reality of the situation is he wouldn't be at Everton, and that's the truth. If you're enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. It only takes a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you could share the stream, it would mean a massive amount to me. What I would say on James is, it's down to Carlo Ancelotti and Marcel Brands now to go out and bring in a player, and I'm not necessarily talking about a number 10 or a creative midfielder per se, but it's down to Carlo Ancelotti and Marcel Brands to go out in the summer and bring in players, whether it be two wingers, whether it be a centre attacking midfielder, whether it be a progressive runner, whether it be a creator. It's up to them to go out and buy a player that will be fit for 35, 36 games in a season, won't have many injury issues, won't be in and out every 10 minutes, won't be fatigued and not wanting to play. Because if we can do that, then in situations like last night when, the Carlo Ancelotti comes out and says, okay, James Rodriguez isn't fit, he's fatigued, he's not going to play, then we can all sit here and go, oh, that's all right, because we've got Leon Bailey, or we've got Diaby, or we've got, Jack Harrison, or we've got Pereira, who can fit in and do that role anyway. So it's a big miss, and we wanted to see James, but it's not like, oh my God, James isn't playing, however are we going to win this game without him? That's what we need to do now. We need to go out. We know what we get. We know what we're getting with James. We know that again, for me, we just need to accept it now. We need to accept it. If we play 3 games in a week, he's only playing one of them. Situations like last night, he isn't going to play in because he's a little bit fatigued, and Carlo's probably got one eye on City on Sunday. Rightly or wrongly, that's the situation. So we know what we're going to get, and it's never going to improve, by the way. James isn't going to play all of a sudden 30 games next season. He's not. He'll play the same amount as he's played this season, if not maybe less, because he's another year older. And, the injuries might get worse. So, this is what I mean by, and I'm not going to go in massively on transfers because I want to get back onto the point of the strat last year, which is the game. But this is what I mean when me and Tom sat down, yesterday and the day before, and we talk about the recruitment and short-termism. It's all well and good bringing in a James Rodriguez, and he has, and when he's played this season, for the majority of the time, he's done really, really well. He's had, I think, 6 goals, 8, 9 assists, something like that. He's been excellent. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He's linked the play brilliantly when he's been there. But he's also spent a lot of his time out injured, and that injury record isn't going to improve. Next season, it'll be the same. The season after, it'll be the same. So for as good as James has done, for as good as Alan's done, for as good as Decore's done, the 3 of them have all had injury issues this season that have kept them out for sustained periods of time, that have had knock-on effects on this team's form. So don't go out in the summer and buy a Coutinho who's going to be the exact same as James. When he turns up, he'll be brilliant, but for the majority of the season, he'll be out injured. Go out and buy a younger alternative who's fit and ready and can play the entire season without any real issues. We will get into the comments in a second, by the way, but like I said, team news come out, no James at all. Carlo Ancelotti went with Jordan Pickford in goal, Michael Keane, Yerry Mina at centre-back, Ben Godfrey at right-back, sort of, with Luca Dean at left-back. We then had Seamus Coleman, sometimes playing as a right wing-back, sometimes playing on the right of midfield. Gylfi Sigurdsson was in there. We had Alan Abdoulaye Doucouré, and then, of course, Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison up front. Again, probably the strongest side we could have put out, to be fair. Probably the strongest side we could have put out, given the circumstance. I would have liked to have seen Tom Davies in there. I really would. I mean, one thing I can say is at least he come off the bench, which is an improvement, because in recent weeks, Carlo Ancelotti hasn't even been bringing him off the bench, has he? Let's be honest. But I would have liked to have seen Tom Davies, to be honest, come starting the game, because I just think Tom is brilliant. I think he's had a great season. I think he's gone massively under the radar. I think he's been massively underrated. And I think he provides something that nobody else really provides in this Everton team, and that's that little bit of grit, that bit of determination, that bit of fight. But he didn't. Carlo went with Alan Doucouré in midfield, and then sort of Sigurdsson in the 10, if you like. Sigurdsson was also on the left at times. And then obviously the strike partnership up front. And the first half wasn't great at all. Don't get me wrong, Wolves weren't necessarily coming at us and flying at us with constant, goal threat after goal threat after goal threat. They had a couple of shots, like I said, the Gibbs White one from a corner. The Wolves did have about 400 million corners within the space of 10 minutes, to be fair. So if you had a bet on corners yesterday, I'm sure you've won money. Like I said, yeah, they had one where I think it fell to Gibbs White, at the on the edge of the box, and he struck it and Pickford managed to save it. They had one where Traoré, again, forced Traoré off a corner, and he takes it. I think he thinks about taking it first time, but he doesn't. He takes it second time, and again, Jordan Pickford makes an excellent save. And these corners were all coming from practically Everton giving the ball away in possession higher up the field, completely being bypassed in midfield, and then the defence having to sort of stand strong and deflect the ball off or make those challenges. And I think the defence for the entire game were really, really solid if I'm being honest with you. Ben Godfrey, I thought, was exceptional again. Ben Godfrey is another player, by the way, similar to Richarlison, who plays off of the crowd. Slightly different to Richarlison because Ben Godfrey's had an exceptional season, even without the crowd there. But you could see yesterday, every slide challenge he made, he felt the crowd's presence, he felt the crowd's noise, and that's what we love as Evertonians. That's what we love. Evertonians will cheer a slide challenge as much as they'll cheer a goal or as much as they'll cheer a penalty, because that's what we love, because that's what gets us on our feet, that's what gets the blood flowing, that's what gets the momentum, that bit of grit, that bit of determination, that bit of fight, that bit of, I'm going to go right through you here, I'm going to get the ball, but I'm going to get you as well, and I'm going to stick you over there. That's what we love to see as Evertonians, and we all know Ben Godfrey loves to do that, and he did it yesterday on Sayore. The ball went nowhere. He practically made a slide challenge where he won the ball, but it didn't really move. But he took the man. He put Sayore on his ass, and it got the crowd up. It got the crowd screaming. Michael Keane made one on Sayore, where Sayore's belting it down the wing, which obviously is extremely worrying with a player of his pace and his agility. And Michael Keane just comes over and absolutely flattens him, gets the ball, gets the man, puts it out for a throw-in, and the crowd are on the feet screaming. It was an excellent challenge. That's what we want to see. And we were seeing a lot of, like I said, defensive work in that first half. We were put under a lot of pressure, and the defence just had to stand strong. And it was a slightly worrying first half because, I said going into this game, we're either going to come out of Goodison with one or two outcomes. One is going to be we've put a performance in, we've turned up and we've won, and we'll all be happy and we'll all be made up, but we'll then all be sitting there thinking, well, where's that attitude for every other home game this season? Why have we only got that attitude when there's fans in the stadium? Why can't they motivate themselves when there's no fans in the stadium? Which hopefully there'll never be another situation, by the way. Hopefully we'll never, ever, ever see a Goodison Park without fans in the stadium. I'm hoping now that, I don't know if it'll be full capacity, on the opening game of next season, but I'm hoping that we'll never, ever, ever have to witness Goodison without fans in the stadium. I really do. Yeah, like I said, or we were going to go out yesterday and get absolutely bladdered, and it was going to be even more worrying that they couldn't perform with fans in the stadium. The first half, I think we showed our lack of quality, our lack of ideas. We were moving the ball. We were moving the ball quicker than we usually do, and we were getting into forward areas, but we weren't doing anything really with it, and the midfield was seemingly sort of everywhere, especially when Wolves hit us on the counter-attack, and we really, really struggled to deal with Wolves. We struggled to deal with the pace of Sayore. He was winning fouls left, right and centre because players were, let's be honest, winning the ball and the referee was giving a foul. They were getting into good areas. They were constantly swinging crosses in, and like I said, the defence had an absolutely solid game for the entire 90 minutes. The second half, everybody stepped up, but the first half, the back line saved us. Yerry Mina, Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey saved us in that first half because everything that come in, they dealt with. Whoever it was, whether it was Ben Godfrey dealing with it by bringing it out and making a ball bust and run like he always does, whether it was Yerry Mina dealing with it in the air, whether it was Michael Keane dealing with it with the deflections, they dealt with everything. And the midfield, I think Alan, Decore and Sigurdsson were all over the place in that first half. I really, really do. But obviously we go in at 0-0. Wolves hadn't had many a clear chances. Everton had had the odd one. I think a corner. We had the corner that fell to Richarlison, and he just couldn't sort his feet out, and he gets the shot out off, and it ends up being deflected out for a corner. But that was the best chance we had of the first half, really, and we knew we needed a reaction. And like I said before at the start of the team, I really don't think these players were making the most of the crowd. I really don't think the players were feeding off of the crowd's energy enough. I think they were sort of, again, playing with panic, playing with a bit of worry, playing with a bit of pressure on them, when realistically all they had to do was go out and feed off of that energy that those 6,500 Evertonians brought, and ultimately use that to their advantage and use it to the disadvantage of Wolves as well. And I think we did that in the second half. Let's get into the live comments then. If you're enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. It only takes a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. If you could share the stream, it would mean a massive amount to me. We're closing in on 4,000 subscribers, only 170 odd away from it, something like that. So if you could subscribe, if you knew, it would mean a massive amount. Sol says, Cam, did you read the report for a Colombian journalist a couple of weeks ago talking about the diet and lifestyle of James? I didn't read that specific report that you're talking about, but I have heard memes in the past about James's lifestyle, not specifically diet, but just there's a lot of journalists out there, especially Colombian journalists, who are close to James Rodriguez as a player and always have been close to him, who've always referred to this issue with his lifestyle. He won't quite say what it is or why it is, whether it's his diet, whether it's a personal thing, whether it's his fitness. They won't quite say what it is, but they always refer to this issue with his lifestyle that basically, it should be much better than what it is, considering the occupation that he has. But listen, I think that the reality of the James situation is, and I think Carlo knows this, and he doesn't want to come out and say it because he knows there'll be a backlash, but I think the reality of the James situation is we signed James knowing that he's massively injury prone and that he's probably going to spend the majority of the season out injured. Now, when we signed him, we didn't want to acknowledge that because we knew that when he was on the pitch, his quality would be absolutely excellent, and he'd win us games as he has, and he'd win us points as he has. But in the back of Carlo Ancelotti's mind, in the back of James Rodriguez's mind, in the back of everybody's mind at the club, they knew, right, okay, we're bringing in a top quality player here, we're bringing in a massive talent, we're bringing in a player that's going to, bring millions of eyes to the club across the world, but we also are bringing in a player that we know is going to frustrate fans because he's going to spend a lot of time out injured, and that's what we get with James, and we know that, and we have to accept him for what he is. It's not going to get any better. He's not all of a sudden next season going to play 38 games in a season. He's not. So we either accept it and move on, or we continue to moan about it, but we're continuing to moan about the same issues that we had 7 weeks ago when he picked up an injury and he wasn't involved for 4 weeks, or early on in the season when he picked up an injury and he wasn't involved. That's just my opinion anyway. Look, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I'm not saying that fans shouldn't be frustrated with the James situation. I'm not saying that fans shouldn't be frustrated and shouldn't be annoyed, because I know a lot of fans will say, well, we pay him over £100,000 a week, Cam, so he should be able to turn up every week. Fatigue shouldn't be an excuse. And I'm with you, to be honest. I think the excuse last night was shocking. As soon as I seen it was fatigue. Did they come out and said he picked up a knock insane, and I'd have said I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised, and that's what you get with him, and we shouldn't be surprised. But the fatigue thing pissed me off a little bit. It did. But look, let me put this to you now. Everton beat Wolves last night. We didn't need James. We come out in the second half. We battled. We fought. Richarlison scored an excellent header. Is it too little too late? Maybe it is too little too late. But that's not just James' fault. That's everybody's fault. That's the fault that we couldn't beat Sheffield United at home. That's the fault that we couldn't beat Fulham at home. We couldn't beat Burnley at home. We couldn't beat Leeds at home. So let me put this to you. Everton win last night. They beat Wolves 1-0. Richarlison scores a great header. James doesn't play, because in the back of Carlo Ancelotti's mind, he's thinking, right, I know that we've got 2 games in the space of, 4 days now. If James plays yesterday against Wolves, he ain't got no chance of playing on Sunday against Manchester City. So I'll keep him out of this Wolves game. He's fatigued. He wants a rest, blah, blah, blah. Let's say we turn up on Sunday against Manchester City. Tottenham bottle it, as you usually do, and they did last night. They get steamrolled by Leicester 4-0. The Arsenal result, it doesn't matter either way. And James Rodriguez scores the winner in the last 5 minutes against Manchester City at the Etihad, and Everton go into the European Conference League, the European places, and are playing European football next season after us all sitting here last weekend and saying we'll never finish in Europe, it's done, we can't beat Sheffield United. I don't think we will finish in Europe, by the way, but hypothetically, let's say that happens. James scores a 40-yard worldie that nobody else would be able to pull out of their locker to put us in Europe. We're all then sitting here on Monday afternoon talking about the game, saying thank God James didn't play the other night against Wolves, because he wouldn't have been there to do that yesterday. So it's one of them. It's one of them. We have to accept him for what he is, and we know what he is. Fifth Pro says, I think Everton go to Europa League. I don't think we can finish in the Europa League now after West Ham's win. We can finish in the Conference League, but yeah, I think we wouldn't. I think we can mathematically get the same points as West Ham if we beat City and they lose on the last day. But we won't get the goal difference. The goal difference could kill us this season. We could beat City and Arsenal win. That wouldn't matter really. We could beat City and Tottenham beat Leicester, and we'd still miss out on goal difference because our goal difference has been dreadful. By the way, when I said we know what we're getting with James, he is what he is. What he is a world-class footballer when he's on the pitch and when he's fit, and will win games solely for you. But he'll also spend a third, maybe half of the season out injured. And that's what he is. Matty says, how good was Ben Godfrey against Wolves? Oh, he's boss, mate. I love Ben Godfrey. He's absolutely exceptional. He really, really is. He's perfection, isn't he? He's an absolutely unbelievable footballer. If you're enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. Only takes a second. Ryan says, opinion on Adama, mate. Would he fit the puzzle? If I'm being completely honest with you, mate, no. I really don't think he would. I don't massively rate him at all, to be honest with you. I really don't rate him. He's quick. He's fast, he's physical, so I get that he'd fit the bill in that sense, but his final product is shocking. And I know I said the other week, just bring in players that are quick, fast, physical, can keep up with the Premier League's pace and physicality. I get that, but we also want to be signing players that have got a bit about them in the box, can cross a ball consistently, can score goals consistently, and I don't think Adama Traore is that player. Plus, he'd probably cost over 100 million, and I'm not a big fan of Traore, to be honest. I'm not. As a footballer, as a person, I've never met him, I don't know what he's like, but as a footballer, for the money he'd cost, I'm not a massive fan of him. C-Play says it's stopped now, Cam. I think it's just my school internet. No worries, mate. Sol says more worried about the Arsenal result than Spurs result. Well, listen, as it's been the entire season with Everton, if we win, the Arsenal result doesn't matter, because Arsenal are a point behind us. If we lose and Arsenal win, then Arsenal will go above us. But if we lose and Leeds win, we'll finish 10th. So we're looking, going into the last game of the season, at a possibility that we could finish 7th and be playing European football next season, or 10th, and it be a complete and utter disaster class. Now, do I think we'll finish 7th without being negative? I don't. Because it's not like we're playing Palace, no disrespect to Palace, or Brighton, no disrespect to them, or Burnley. We're playing Manchester City away from home. The day that they will lift the trophy, the day that Sergio Aguero will wave his goodbyes to the Etihad, the day that they'll all be gearing to go to a Champions League final, the fans will be back in the stadium to see them lift the title. Everything's against us. It is. And like you said, we could win and Tottenham win and we won't get European football. So everything's against us. But so long as we win, Arsenal can't finish above us. If we don't win, then yeah. Emmett says, James will score the winning against City. Will you always have one eye on the Spurs game, lad? Well, look, for me, I've always... Everton, listen, if Everton don't finish in Europe this season, it's not because Leicester have bottled it against Spurs. And I put out a tweet last night when Palace conceded, and I was like, oh, Palace, you've let me down. And everyone was like, it's not Palace's fault, it's Everton's fault. We've lost to Sheffield United. We've done this to ourselves. And I was like, I know whose fault it is. I'm just saying we could have done with Palace doing us a favour, and they haven't done us a favour. If Everton... I'm not really interested in the Spurs result, to be honest with you, because if we win 5-0 and Spurs win 2-0, Spurs will get into the European Conference League over Everton. Now, we'll have beaten City 5-0 in the last game of the season and we still won't get Europe. That's not because Leicester haven't turned up against Spurs. That's because we didn't turn up against Sheffield United. We didn't turn up against Villa. We didn't turn up against Fulham. We didn't turn up against Burnley. We didn't turn up against Palace. We didn't turn up against Leeds. I can continue for quite a long time. So if we don't finish in Europe, it's no fault but our own. But like I said, we've got no chance of finishing in Europe if we can't win on Sunday, and we're playing the champions away. Sol says, no, he wasn't at Goodison. Don't think we'll see him against City. Reckon he's not arsed considering the Copa America coming up. Love the lad, but that sort of mentality isn't right. Well, listen, we'll see. If we see him against City, then we know what the situation is. He was rested for City. If we don't see him against City, then yeah, we can have another little moan about him. But let's wait and see. You said Steady says, only reason Richarlison isn't leaving is because of COVID and Barca being skint. If you think he doesn't want the Barca move, you're living on a different planet. But that's the same for most players. Well, listen, he might want the Barca move because he's a Brazilian international who's probably grown up watching Ronaldinho as his hero. He's openly spoke about Neymar being one of his idols who played for Barcelona. So, if you were to say to me now, Cam, I've just spoke to Richarlison, and in the future he wants to play for Barcelona, I'd be as surprised if you said to me, Cam, you've got a pen in your hand now. I'm not surprised by Barcelona, by Richarlison wanting to play for Barcelona at some point in the future. What I mean is I don't subscribe to this, he hates Everton and he doesn't want to play for Everton, he doesn't want to be here. I don't necessarily think he wants to move in the summer. If he was presented with a move to Barcelona, would he move? Potentially. Potentially, he's got no affiliation to Everton, he's not an Everton fan. He's not from the area. He's probably grown up, like I said, with Barcelona shirts with Ronaldinho on the back, or Dani Alves, or Neymar. So I don't particularly blame him for that. But, like I said, look at how much it meant to him yesterday. Look at how much he cares about this football club. Look at the, and I know some people don't like the kiss and the badge, and some people don't, really agree with that. But just not only look at the goal, Go and look at the roar that Richarlison lets out when he scores. Look at the freeze frame of the roar Richarlison lets out when he scores. What that is all of that frustration, all of that anger, all of that upset, all of that, not scoring enough this season, having a bad season, not having the fans there. That's all of that coming out. And a big, massive roar of relief. And he scored the winner last night, and it was a great goal. We will talk about it in a moment. Tom says, meaning our best centre-half by a mile and need a new contact. Meaning was brilliant yesterday. Ewan says, new Everton away kit teased by Hummel. Yes, that is teased. Apparently, that's getting revealed tomorrow, according to Hummel's Twitter. So we'll wait and see on that one. Sol says, Kevin Campbell. Yeah, it was. Sol says, honestly, can't remember the last time I felt excited about the last game of the season being an Evertonian. My only fear is City playing a strengthened side after losing to Brighton to build momentum. Yeah. But I honestly firmly believe in Everton having a pair of balls on Sunday. I really do. And by that I mean if City want to play a strengthened side, first 5 minutes send Tom Davis on and go through Sterling. Or, put in a hard... Let Yerry Mina put in a hard challenge on Mahrez. Or a hard challenge on... I don't know. Who else is probably likely to start for them? Kevin De Bruyne or somebody like that. Go out and sort of put in a hard challenge and then whisper in their ear, you've got a Champions League final in 6 days. So if you want to play in that game, then I'd stay away from me because we're fighting for Europe. We're fighting for we're fighting for a position in the Europa Conference League, and we need to win today to get that. So listen, that's all I'm saying. If you want to play in that Champions League final next week, then maybe stay away from me because I'm going to go in hard. And then maybe City, and there's nothing wrong with doing that, by the way, it's just playing mind games. And then maybe City players will go, actually, do you know what? I wouldn't mind playing in that Champions League final next week. I wouldn't mind winning that Champions League. It's what we've been wanting to do for years. So the game's not riding on this game. Maybe we will take our foot off the gas a little bit. Don't be nicey Everton and let Man City walk around you and waltz around you and then go, oh, we weren't good enough. We just haven't got enough quality. That's fine. If Manchester City beat us next on Sunday with a 40-yard screamer or with a goal where they passed it round everybody 14 times and scored, then that's brilliant. That no issue with that. City are a much better team than Everton are. They've got much more quality than we have. We know that. But give it 150%. Go. That's what I want to see. I want to see players going in hard on Sunday. Because I honestly think if we go in hard, if we get in their faces, if we throw the challenges in, if we push our weight about a little bit, I think we've got a chance. Because I think City will go, do you know what? I don't want to risk, being out of the Champions League final. So I'll stand off a little bit here. But, who knows? We're 90 Everton, aren't we? C-Play says, Cam Evertonians love Carlo because as soon as it started, they were singing about him. We all love Carlo, mate. We do. It's been a frustrating season, but, does anybody really want Carlo to leave? Let's be honest. Does anybody really want him to leave? Ewan says, Ancelotti anticipates long-term Everton supporters boost. Gamba says, I don't get it. Sometimes we actually play like we're supposed to, but in another opportunity, we drop the ball. Yeah. It's Everton for you. You said Steady says you literally said the game before all the players were no good and now you're waxing lyrical. I'm not looking for a fight just to stay consistent. I'm not. I'm by the way, mate, I'm not waxing lyrical about any of them. The squad is still nowhere near good enough. These players are still nowhere near good enough, and we seen that in the first half yesterday. But what I'm saying is, when you show a bit of fight, when you show a bit of passion, when you show a bit of urgency, you'll get results. And I'm not saying that Richarlison now, because he scored the winning goal, is unbelievable and he's excellent and he's the best thing since sliced bread. Does he need to improve? Absolutely. Does his attitude need to improve? Absolutely. But look at how much that meant to him yesterday, and maybe that'll give him that confidence that he needs now. Too bad it's the last game of the season on Sunday and he won't have any real games to show it, but what happens if he scores the winner on Sunday? We're all going to be made up, aren't we? So I'm not waxing lyrical about any of them, and I am in the same situation as I was, after the Sheffield United game. This squad's nowhere near good enough. We need 5, 6, 7 players to be even a challenger for Europe, but we might still finish in Europe with this squad, which just shows how good of a manager Carlo Ancelotti is. C-Play says, so good Richie is a toffee. You could see with his reaction that meant everything to him. I love the lad. There you go. Forgotten World, the movie says, hi Cam. Bittersweet victory. This one just feels late to mean anything. At least the fans were at the ground to see home in. That's all I really give a shit about, to be honest with you, mate. That's all I really care about is that the fans are there. The fans were there to witness it. The fans were there to see a bit of a fight, a bit of a performance, a bit of a battle from these players, because we haven't seen that enough at Goodison this season, and the fans wouldn't have accepted anything less yesterday, and we did. We got the win, which again, look, it mightn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. We mightn't beat City, which is a big possibility. We might finish 10th, and we'll all be sitting here assessing the season as what's been a disaster. Certainly at home, away from home has been elation. At home has been deflation. But But we had a game of football last night, and all we could have done is gone out and win. I'd rather be sitting here talking about a win that mightn't mean much than a loss that is another depressing loss that we've got to sit down and talk about. Anyway, let's get back into the game. Second half starts, like I said, a little bit touch and go in the first half. We were getting forward at times, but we weren't doing anything with it. The midfield was just sort of void of any real ideas. Defensively, we were strong, but Wolves were coming on us. Wolves were inviting pressure, and it was another first half performance where we looked sort of void of any idea, any shape, any plan. What was the plan in that first half? What were we set out to do? You know, sometimes you can see a clear plan, right? This is what we want to do. We want to defend well and get it up to Richarlison or get it up to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But we really didn't see. We really didn't see a plan yesterday. We didn't see any cohesion. We didn't see any sort of ideas in that first half, certainly. And like I said before, I honestly think that these players would have gone in at half time, and Duncan Ferguson and Carlo Ancelotti would have gone, you've got 6,500 Evertonians there, you know, first time since December you've got fans in the stadium, go and play off them. Because as soon as we come out in that second half, all of a sudden we started to see that little bit of grit, that bit of determination. Alan and Abdoulaye Doucouré improved massively. You know, the passing, Abdoulaye Doucouré in the first half couldn't pass a parcel. The second half, he was making those passes, he was linking the play, his energy was excellent. And I said it in the instant match reaction, that's what you get with Abdoulaye Doucouré. You get the energy, you get the constant battling, you get the fighting, you get the physicality, but you don't necessarily get that quality. He needs to improve his passing, of course he does. Alan was the same yesterday. A couple of times he gave the ball away, stupidly. And, there was one where he had the ball in our box. He had space on space in front of him, and he just played it out for a throw-in. I don't know why, but he just played it out for a throw-in. But we reacted. Like I said, even the little things. Michael Keane's challenge on Adama Traoré was excellent. We all, as soon as we saw Adama Traoré belting down that wing, I think we all sort of feared for ourselves. We all sort of thought, oh my God, he's gonna beat everybody for pace. But Michael Keane comes over and puts in an unbelievable challenge. And Michael Keane deserves an immense amount of credit yesterday, by the way, because he's being criticised a lot recently. And I think other than the odd couple of games, I think Michael Keane has had a relatively solid season, if I'm being honest with you. I do. He's been in and out the team. He's been in and out the side. And, I think it's clear that Yerry Mina, for me, is our best centre-half. And then, obviously, you've got Ben Godfrey next to him. And it's difficult to not have Ben Godfrey in there. But Michael Keane stepped in yesterday. And he was a commander. He led. He battled. He fought. He won everything he needed to win. He was dominant in the air. He ensured that Wolves didn't have any clear-cut chances in the area in that second half. Like I said, the sliding challenge against Traoré was absolutely excellent. We defended in numbers yesterday, and Michael Keane was the spearhead of those numbers. He was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And like I said, he deserves so much credit because he's being criticised time and time again this season, Michael Keane. And look, in some occasions, rightly so. He's made some silly mistakes at times this season that have cost Everton. But yesterday he was so solid. And again, maybe we just have a team of players that need that crowd, that need that energy, that need that, 12th man, if you like, to get them any motivation. Because I think that's a big word. I think there's two words that have described this Everton team in recent weeks, and that's motivation and responsibility. Against Sheffield United, we didn't have anybody that was taking responsibility. Not one player. Not one player grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck. Not one player went, no, do you know what? We want to win this game. Other than Jordan Pickford in goal, and obviously it's very difficult for Jordan to do it as a goalkeeper. No outfield player took the game by the scruff of the neck and went, no, do you know what? We want to win this game. We want to fight. We want to battle. We want to, we need the 3 points here. If we'd have beaten Sheffield United, by the way, we'd be comfortably in Europe and get anything out of. If we'd have beaten if we'd have beaten Villa and Sheffield United, would be solidified Europe now, and we'd all be sitting here having a party. So there was nobody that took responsibility on Sunday against Sheffield United. Nobody led, nobody battled, nobody wanted to take the game by the scruff of the neck and bring us forward and win us that game of football. That's one big issue I've got with this Everton team, is there's no responsibility in it. Another big issue is motivation. They can't motivate themselves. They really can't. We've seen that. But fans can motivate the players. 6,500 Evertonians motivated that Everton team in the second half last night. No surprise that Richarlison was twice the player that he's been all season yesterday. Michael Keane was absolutely excellent. Doucouré and Alan come out and were much better in the second half. it's that motivation that those fans brought. And like I said, Michael Keane for me was one of the prime examples of that. He was absolutely brilliant yesterday. He was so solid. He battled for everything. He won every header in the air. He won everything on the floor. He was throwing the sliding challenges in. He was blocking the shots when they were coming in. He was absolutely fantastic yesterday. And he had two centre-backs either side of him who were just as good. You know, maybe not as good. I think Michael Keane probably tipped it for man of the match, but were extremely good. Yerry Mina, said it before, I'll say it again, he's our best centre-half. That lad is just absolutely excellent. Everything that he has to deal with, he deals with it. He's a ball magnet, Yerry Mina. He's a real ball magnet. Everything that comes in the box, he gets out. Everything that comes in the air, he gets out. He battles. He's not afraid to get into the physical side of things. He's not afraid to throw his weight about. You know, let defenders know I'm here. I'm here and I'm here to fight. I'm here to get stuck in. I'm here to battle. I'm here to let you know that, you know, you're not going to have an easy day. And then Ben Godfrey next to him again. We saw trademark Ben Godfrey a couple of times yesterday, didn't we? Firstly, the challenge on Sayore, which was just absolutely excellent, and the entire Goodison Park crowd really did lift off. And then we saw his trademark belt and run down the right hand side where he played the ball into Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Dom's first touch just let him down. But again, he just steamrolled, and once Ben Godfrey puts those accelerators on, and once Ben Godfrey gets going, I honestly don't think there's a player in the Premier League that can stop him. I really don't, because he's that big, he's that physical, and he's that fast. He's that fast, and to be fair, massive credit where credit's due to the entire defence, Michael Keane and Yerry Mina included. I sat here on Friday, I think, not Friday, I'm getting my days confused. I sat here on Tuesday doing the game preview to this game and said that, you know, Ben Godfrey is going to be the only player that can keep Adama Traore quiet, because he's the only player that can match him for pace, that can match him for physicality. But I was wrong. Michael Keane kept Adama Traore quiet. Yerry Mina kept Adama Traore quiet for the entire game. They all did collectively as a back line. Luca Dean defensively put in a solid performance, and going forward was a lot more threatening. Seamus Coleman battled, worked hard. You know, I feel for Seamus, because it's clear that he's not the long-term answer, and it's clear that he won't be in this Everton team next season, certainly not consistently. He might still be at the club, but he won't be consistently in this Everton team. But yet he still battles, he still fights, he still shows that aggression, shows that passion, shows that, you know, showed that battle yesterday. And I know that some people might say, oh, Campbell, hang on, against Sheffield United, you said that none of these players were any good and that they didn't show any of this, and he didn't. And that's the double face, as Carlo Ancelotti referred to it, of this Everton team. There's 1 week we can turn up and show that we care and we give it 110% and we want to play for the club, and the next week they can turn up and show that they don't care and they don't want to play for the club and they don't want to be here. And we can't have that. We simply can't have that inconsistency. We can't have that double face, as Carlo said, because you're not going to get anywhere other than mid-table with that. So we were defensively, we were very good yesterday. We were, and we were very solid, and you know, we kept Wolves out. Does it solve all of our issues? No. But look, all we can do is talk about the game that was at present, and I thought defensively we were very good. Jordan Pickford in goal as well. He's a player who I think we can all talk about and have a massive swan song about, and nobody will really mind, because he's been excellent since the Merseyside derby. Jordan Pickford has been our player he's just been our best player. He's been absolutely excellent. Again, yesterday didn't have a massive amount to do, but you know what he had to do, he done it well. He made a couple of good saves, like I said, one from Traore after it fell to him from the corner, one from Gibbs White as well that he made. That was again just a really solid save. And again, he was commanding, he was coming out, he was collecting the ball, he was collecting corners, he was collecting throw-ins. When he needed to punch it, he did, but when he knew he could grab it and he could take it with both hands, he did that as well. And honestly, again, I think it was his 10th clean sheet of the season last night. I think he's on for his highest save ratio as an Everton player. Jordan Pickford's gone massively under the radar this season, massively, and he's gone massively under the radar because the media sent a witch hunt out for him in October because he made an accidental challenge on their love darlings in the Merseyside derby, and they absolutely sent for him. And let's be honest, Everton didn't really stick up for him. They didn't really stick up for ourselves. They didn't really turn around and say to the media, if you don't stop going on about this challenge, you're not getting into Finch Farm, never mind press conferences. You're not getting information first. You're not seeing injury news before anybody else does. And we didn't really do that. We just allowed it to happen. We allowed it to continue. You know, we come out and we maybe condemned it a little bit in the odd statement, but other than that, we allowed it to continue. And Jordan Pickford has overcome something that no other player has overcome this season. You know, we can say Dom's had a brilliant season, and he has, and we can say Ben Godfrey's had an excellent season, he has, but Jordan Pickford's had to overcome a media witch hunt. He's had to overcome every single member of the media practically on his back with a massive target on his back, wanting him to fail. And he done that, and he epitomised that in that Merseyside derby at Anfield. Everybody wanted Jordan Pickford to fail. All of the big news articles, all of the big television companies, they already had their reports printed. Pickford makes another blunder as Liverpool win 20th consecutive derby. Pickford's mistake leads Everton to another Anfield defeat. They had it all printed out already. And as soon as they saw that Jordan Pickford put in a 10 out of 10 performance and was absolutely outstanding in that Merseyside derby, they all closed their computers and they went back to lie in their mum's spare room and cry themselves to sleep because they're all embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. But Jordan Pickford overcome all of that. And since that Merseyside derby, he's been absolutely excellent. He hasn't put a foot wrong. He's commanding his area. He's making the saves he needs to make. He's not making any silly mistakes. He's screaming at players. You know, his concentration levels are there. He seems to have matured an awful lot. And for me, he's been, certainly in the turn of this year, he's been our player of 2021 so far. He really, really has. And I think he deserves an immense amount of credit. It says something that we all sat here in November, December, October time saying we probably need a new keeper in the summer, and now we're all sitting here saying we don't need a new keeper. You know, we need a backup keeper depending on what Robin Olsen does, but we don't need a new number one. And that just shows how good Jordan Pickford has been this, you know, certainly since the Merseyside derby, and he was excellent again yesterday, absolutely excellent again. Let's talk about Richarlison's goal then before we get back into the live comments, and then ultimately we finish up. Great corner, and I think it's Gylfi Sigurdsson who takes the corner. Fantastic ball in to the box. Richarlison rises, and it's an unbelievable header considering the cross is going away from goal and it's sort of it's curling out. For Richarlison to get that much accuracy and that much power on that header is just absolutely unbelievable. It really, really, really is. And again, John Ruddy had no chance, absolutely no chance whatsoever. John Ruddy, you know, what a scene it was to see John Ruddy back at Goodison Park after all of those years. But he had no chance, and no goalkeeper in the Premier League saving that. It's perfectly weighted, it's perfectly powered, and it's perfectly accurate into the corner of the goal. And it was a header that was worthy of winning a game of football like that last night, and it did win it, and it was absolutely brilliant. And look, again, everybody knows my feelings on Richarlison. Some people don't subscribe to, you know, the way I do, but I don't subscribe to the way some people do, and that's that he doesn't care about Everton and he doesn't want to be here. I think he loves this football club as much as any of those players, probably more than any of those players that put that shirt on, and I think he showed that last night in his celebration and how much it meant to him. And it was a great goal. It's a brilliant header, and it was a goal that was worthy to win that game of football, like I said. And look, as has been with Everton in recent weeks, and this is where, you know, the squad quality comes into things, is that when we're winning games and when we're losing games, to be fair, it's always small margins. We're winning 1-0 with a great header like last night, or with a nice finish from Dom against West Ham, or we're losing 1-0 with a silly goal to concede the other night against Sheffield United, or, you know, a silly couple of goals to concede against Aston Villa a couple of weeks ago at Goodison Park. It's always small margins. When was the last time we won 2-3-0? When was the last time we won a game convincingly and we weren't sitting there, you know, biting our nails in the last 5 minutes of the game? And that's another thing that Carlo Ancelotti needs to fix going into next season, is we can't keep winning and losing games by small margins. You know, we need to be a lot more clinical. We need to create a lot more. We need to be a lot more dominant in games of football. And look, yesterday, I'm not complaining. It was a brilliant win. It was a great header by Richarlison, and I'm made up for Richarlison. I really, really am. But again, it's small margins, isn't it? It's an excellent header that maybe on another day he doesn't score, or he doesn't jump for, he doesn't get to, and we ends up drawing that game last night, and it's another disappointment. But yeah, excellent header. And from that point on, the onus was on Wolves then, and I think Wolves, for the entire game, other than the odd half chance they had, I think they knew they didn't really have enough quality to ultimately create much against an Everton team that was defending brilliantly for the entire 90 minutes. And they didn't create much. Everton had, you know, we had a couple of decent chances after that. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has one where Richarlison plays him through, and Dom, at first on the television it looked like Dom had managed to squeeze it under John Ruddy, but he hadn't. John Ruddy ended up making a comfortable save, and it would have been unfortunate really, because it had been a fantastic example of Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison actually passing to each other and actually wanting to play next to each other, because there's been a lot recently about they don't pass to each other, they don't like each other. It's a great pass by Richarlison through to Dom, and to be fair, it's a good shot by Dom. It's a tight angle and it was always going to be difficult to score, and John Ruddy makes a save as you would expect him to make. And then Gylfi Sigurdsson has a couple, doesn't he? Gylfi Sigurdsson all of a sudden pops up out of nowhere with two fantastic efforts on the right hand side. And again, like I said, you could have put money on while he was sitting watching on the television that both of those shots curled into the top corner. And there was a scream that come out of my mouth that was as loud as it was when Richarlison scored, because I thought Gylfi had buried the pair of them, but he didn't. They were very, very unlucky. Just guided past the post, beat John Ruddy, but also unfortunately just beat the post as well. And look, I don't mind that from Gylfi. Gylfi was very quiet in the first half. Very, very quiet in the first half, as was the entire midfield. But I don't mind that in the second half he had chances, he had shots. I like that, because Gylfi has got the quality to bury those opportunities. He didn't yesterday. And that's unfortunate. But we know he's got the quality to bury those chances, so I've got no real big issue with Gylfi Sigurdsson taking them whatsoever. And it was unfortunate. It was. We then made a couple of substitutions, obviously. Gomez come on, huffed and puffed, didn't really do much, didn't really have enough to do. Mason Holgate come on in the midfield. I said in the intermatch reaction yesterday, he made one mistake, but luckily enough for Everton, and this is, I suppose, what happens when you play Mason Holgate in midfield, is he makes that mistake in the opposition box, so that when he's inviting pressure onto us, the opposition have still got 40, 50, 60 yards to get to before they even meet the defensive line. He's not making that mistake on the edge of his own box where the opposition are going one-on-one with goal when he does. But, again, he wasn't on for much longer. He was on for a couple of minutes, I think, at the end of the game. And Tom Davies come on, who just, I think, was put on to battle, work hard, fight, get involved. And he did that, and he frustrated Wolves. And ultimately, Everton see the game out. It's a great win. Not the greatest performance at all. And look, ultimately, it doesn't hide our home form. I'm not sitting here saying, everything's all good now because we've beat Wolves. It's not. We've been dreadful at home this season. And again, Everton have put ourselves in a situation where we might miss out on Europe on goal difference. We might miss out on Europe by a point. And that isn't because Leicester will bottle it against Tottenham. That's not because I think Brighton play Arsenal. Brighton will bottle it against Arsenal. That's because Everton have bottled it against Sheffield United. Everton have bottled it against Villa. Everton have bottled it against Burnley, Leeds. All of these teams that we should be beating, that we haven't beaten. So, listen, if we don't finish in Europe, it's down to our own fault. If we do finish in Europe, then, again, it's an extreme slice of luck, but it's going to be really, really difficult. It goes down to the last game of the season. Like I said, Arsenal have got the easiest game, I think, of the three clubs. Tottenham have got a very difficult game against Leicester. Leicester, I think, have bottled top four now, so I haven't really got much to play for. And Everton have got the champions away from home in what's going to be their title-lifting day, isn't it? And will be an extremely difficult day for all of us. So listen, who knows what's going to happen. I'm not getting myself massively invested in the fight for Europe, to be honest, because I don't know, but in my opinion we won't finish in Europe. I just don't see every result going our way, as well as us beating City at the Etihad. I don't see us not beating City. Stranger things have happened. We've got a very, very good away record this season, but I just don't see. I think no one else would beat City in the last minute, and Tottenham would beat Leicester in the last minute, and would miss out, on goal difference that way. But look, ultimately, we had a game of football to play last night, and I said this in the intermatch reaction. All as we could have done is gone out and win. It hasn't been good enough all season. We know that the home form has been shocking all season. We know that, but all as we could have done is go out and win the game yesterday, and that's what we did. And I'm just made up that those 6,500 Evertonians witnessed a win at Goodison Park, because we haven't seen many of them this season. We haven't seen many wins at Goodison Park. We haven't seen many performances where we can say we've come out and we've battled and we've fought, but I'm just glad that those 6,500 Evertonians managed to witness a win and managed to witness these players actually turn up, certainly in the second half, and show a little bit more than what they've shown in recent weeks and months. Whether we finish in Europe, again, I don't think we will, and I don't think any of us should really get too excited about it, to be honest. But listen, it goes down to the last day of the season, and we'll see what happens, won't we? Matty said, would you take Lookman back because he can carry a ball and beat a man? No. I don't think he's consistent enough. FIFA Bros at weight 6th is Europa League and 7th is Conference League. Yes. Matty says, instead of spending 20 million 10 times on players that just become dead weight, why don't we spend 50, 60 million on some proper Prem talent? Barnes, Rafinha and Pulisic. I'd love them, mate. I'd love all three of them players you've just mentioned. But the reality is, would I don't think Harvey Barnes wouldn't come to Everton. Not a chance. Rafinha, there's a potential, and Pulisic, there's a potential because he's not very happy at Chelsea, but again, it'd be very difficult to get either of them in. Bian says Richarlison is too rash, get rid of him. I don't agree with that. But there you go. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Ewan says, I think we will see Richarlison back to his best against City after that goal. He'll be confident again. I hope so. Diego says, Yerry Mina makes the defensive line more solid. Big difference when he plays. He's excellent, mate. He's absolutely excellent. Sol says, Cam, what do you make of Holgate's future at Everton, considering Mina, Keane and Godfrey having solid seasons? Do you believe there's a player there just finding the right balance in his play? If you want my honest opinion, I think if Everton get a bid for Mason Holgate, they'll sell him. He's young, he's got potential, he's still got a lot of his career to go, he's still got a contract. Obviously, he's only recently signed a new contract as well. So I think if Everton get a £15-20 million bid for our fourth choice centre-back, let's be honest, and the club's, we don't know the club stance on Yerry Mina yet, but if the club stance on Yerry Mina is that they want to keep him and they don't want to sell him, then I think if we get a bid for Mason, he'll go, to be honest with you. Just because, again, we need to make money somehow, don't we, with financial fair play and all of that. Jab says Siggy didn't bury them yesterday and hasn't all season. He didn't, but again, he is also been games this season where he hasn't even attempted shots outside the box, so at least he had to go. Nathan says there was a moment in the first half when Everton did the typical 25 passes to go nowhere, and Decore passed back to the centre-back and Carlo fumed. Good aim from the top balcony. We've made him and Everton die. Yeah, and that's it. But and that's what I'm saying when people go, no, it's Carlo Ancelotti's tactics, they're this, they're that, they're old, they're what have I seen people calling him? They're the dinosaur. Carlo's a dinosaur tactically. If Everton are playing 40 passes along the back line and then going back to Jordan Pickford, and you can clearly see Ancelotti on the sideline screaming and shouting and putting his hand in his head. Why would he be doing that if tactically that's what he set the team up to do? If he set the team up to play 45 passes across the back line and then pass it back to Jordan Pickford, why would Carlo Ancelotti be on the sideline screaming and shouting and looking like he's absolutely fuming? He wouldn't. He'd be sitting there like that. Yeah, this is what I've taught him to do. This is the style I want to play. There's a massive confidence issue and there's a massive responsibility issue with this football club, and the result yesterday doesn't change that. And that's why we see the defence playing 600 passes between each other when we're 1-0 down with 5 minutes to go, because there's a confidence issue and there's a responsibility issue. I've said it before and it doesn't change. But look, we won yesterday and that's all we can do. We can be happy about winning, can't we? The home form's been crap all season, so let's just be happy that we managed to win one. T-Play says, just get into next season and side Champions League. We love you, Everton, we do. Yeah, look, we'll see where we are next season. Massive summer ahead for Marcel Brands and Carlo Ancelotti. Myself and Tom have sat down and talked about the midfield, who we can sign in the midfield. We also talked about the defence and the transfer strategy over the last couple of days as well. So if you haven't checked out those videos, please do so. And leave your comments in the comment section of those, and I'll get involved with as many of them as I can. We'll also have one out on forwards, wingers, strikers, central attacking midfielders. That'll be out probably tomorrow afternoon after the game preview to the City game, so look out for that one as well. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's live stream. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit that like button. Still somehow in a race for Europe come the last day of the season. I don't know how. Carlo Ancelotti, he said the other day he's not a magician, but for me, he absolutely is a magician. The fact that he's taken this team to a European race on the last game of the season is magic for me. If you've enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. It really, really does mean a massive amount to me. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow with the game preview ahead of Everton's final Premier League game of the season against Manchester City away from home. Everything riding on that one. Easy winnable game for us, isn't it? No, it's not. It's not. It really isn't. But look, we'll be here tomorrow morning to talk about that one. We'll also obviously have that video, like I said, talking about forwards out tomorrow afternoon as well. So look out for that one. Massive thanks for watching. Listen, great win. All we can do is be happy that we've won. Fantastic to see fans back in the stadiums. I hope to never, ever see a Goodison Park without fans in the stadiums ever again. Hopefully, we're all back, all 40,000 of us next season in our numbers, and hopefully we can hear that Goodison roar again. Like I said, you know, we mightn't be happy about the season and you mightn't be happy about the win because it doesn't mean much, but let's just be happy about the roar that the players got when they walked onto the pitch. Let's be happy about the roar that Richarlison had when he scored the goal. Let's just be happy about the roar that Ben Godfrey and Michael Keane had when they threw those slide challenges in on Adama Traore. Let's just be happy that we're starting to get back to some form of normality, because I don't know about anyone else, I'm itching to get back to Goodison Park. I'm really, really itching to get back to Goodison. Ewan says, see about the toffee. Cheers, Eugene. And Jab says, I think the way we are as a club comes from deep within Everton. Since Moyes left, we played awful football from the season with Martinez and the start of the season with Ancelotti. Well, that needs to change, doesn't it? And Carlo's openly said, by the way, last week that, you know, we can't play better football with this current squad of players. Isn't good enough to play better football. So when we improve the squad, we'll play better football. And let's hope that we do next season. Big thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Only takes a second. Like I said, we'll be back tomorrow. And yeah, massive thanks for watching. And we'll see you soon on The Mighty Blues.